Fanvision's mission is to enhance the fan experience while they're at the event. And the critical piece for a fan is to be able to get a bunch of audio, video, and stats exactly how they want it, when they want it, but in a real kind of set it and forget it way. They don't want to have to be tinkering with or adjusting settings all the time. They just want to have a channel they can open up that shows them the stuff they really care about while they're there. They can look at it for a second, put it away, but that seems to be what our audience is craving. Absolutely. When we think about a sporting event, most people's mind might go to an NFL or NBA game. Those are great. We tend to have our most success and focus our experiences around long, kind of multi-day outdoor events like a golf event, NASCAR event, your X Games, where the content, the events are spread out over hundreds of acres over 48 or 72 hours. And that's where we can drive a lot of value, because the fan has this sort of like fear of missing out all the time. Am I at the right place? Am I missing out on a great athlete over there? Are there stats that I'm not getting because I'm not in the right place at the right time? And that's where we really thrive as a company, is this big multi-day outdoor event. We think mostly about it as context. So at a race event, I just saw a blur go by me at 200 miles an hour, but who's winning, who's losing? It's not actually obvious when you're looking at the event what's actually happened. Same thing at a big outdoor event like golf, where I might have watched one stroke and I've walked 20 minutes to get there to see Jordan Spieth, to see that one drive, right? But I miss all the rest of it. So I don't know in the context of the whole event how he's doing. I know that drive was awesome that I just saw, but what does it mean for his performance for the event as a whole? And that's where the technology comes in to really help me out. That's totally right. What we think of as the fan, we're going to give them everything we've got, and it's their job to sort of dial it back. They can dial it back by not looking at the video, by in NASCAR, we give them the main audio feed, so the radio broadcast, and then 43 channels of audio if they want it. And their job is to pick the 3 drivers they care most about, and they just hear what those guys say and nothing else. That's the way that our fan kind of dials it back. We can give you this fire hose, and then they have to set it up just right. We call it story, we call it context. It's just that you have, at a big golf event like the one you have here in Vegas, you'll have 200,000 people show up over the course of the event, and really nobody knows what's going on. They need a story, they need some context. Otherwise, they're really just walking around, looking at the beautiful trees and grass, and watching occasionally a golf ball whiz by. And so that's our job, is to create a story. We're not storytellers. We're not the broadcaster. We're not the radio call, like color man or whatever it is. But we do try to convey those stories in that context. So a fan goes to an event and feels at home and feels like the experience was complete. It wasn't just wandering around looking at a bunch of stuff. Yeah, especially when you think about, a lot of people show up with a favorite athlete. And when we can give you everything we've got about that athlete all the time, you really feel like you're connected to them and you're there to support them, and you understand what's happening with them every step of the way. At a race, you've got practice, qualifying, and then ultimately the race. And if you can have this almost narration of everything going on with Joey Logano for the entire time, you feel at home and you feel like you've come to really support him in the race. So our customer, because they're at the stadium or they're at the event, they were not going to look at a broadcast, right? They were not going to see it. And so we are an incremental addition to their TV viewing or mobile video viewing. And because of that, if we put out a unit, because ours is such a companion to them throughout most cases a 3-day weekend, because it's such a companion, they're turning it on and they're typically coming back for multiple batteries actually to boost it again. So we're seeing 8, 10, 12 hours over the course of the weekend. And it's a real companion. They're talking to you about what's going on all the time. Yeah, and think of it now. So what we do for the fan now at a golf event is not only do they get the AM or FM radio broadcast, they get a video feed from each hole, they get a leaderboard, and then they get they see the leaderboard, and then on top of that, we're actually recharging their phone. We give them a little battery pack that recharges their smartphone. So the whole thing combines to create something that makes them feel more comfortable, almost more like they're at home, getting that great broadcast channel, but while they're on the go. We think that if there's a ton of racing going on in the world and a ton of golf going on in the world, so we could spend and make a great business just focusing on those things. But we also look at big multi-day events like the X Games or the Olympics as key drivers for us. If we can get in there and create your companion for a 2-week event, people pay a lot for it, get a lot of value out of it, really enjoy the event better. And then our partners, who are really the rights holder and the event operator, it's a win-win. The rights holder gets their content out to a person who is not going to be looking at a screen. That's great. And then the promoter or the event organizer is adding value to the experience. Their fan or their customer feels at home. They're getting all the stuff they're usually only accustomed to getting on their couch. This is where our technology, this is more of a technical answer to your question than a content answer, but the way our tech is set up and why we actually are in the hardware business and the software business, not just software, is we actually will take a UHF channel, use it for the week or the 2, we get a temporary license, and we broadcast this content stream to all of our devices that are nearby. That doesn't break like Wi-Fi does or like DAS systems do if you've got 20,000 people trying to access the stream at the same time. So any event that wants to put on a show and broadcast that out across a wide area wirelessly, and they want to do it in special ways like on the smartphone or on the television, we're specialists in going in and providing the equipment and the know-how to do that. And it's a business that makes a lot of sense for people. People hate laying cables. People hate a lot of aspects of the Wi-Fi and DAS setup, and we just sort of cut all that out. We're sort of this funny broadcaster. We're broadcasting a ton of data, audio, and video in a much more complicated way than the UHF guys used to do, but we're actually using their UHF channel to do it. So it's unlimited capacity for multiple devices, and there's huge reliability gains you get from it. Yeah, it's been known for a long time, but we're the guys who can show up and actually create an in-venue broadcast that makes sense for people, and hopefully people find it useful. Yeah, we think that the fans show up to feel part of part of something larger than themselves. That's why people show up to an event, because you can get the information of the game at home, but you want to go there and feel part of something. And when you provide a technology that amplifies that, you feel part of something when you understand what's going on. When you're just seeing a bunch of blurs whiz by or a golf ball whiz by and you don't actually know what's going on, you don't feel part of it. So we're building technologies, our Fanvision Bolt, our Fanvision controller, and our next-gen stuff that give people an understanding of what's happening at a pretty complicated event. And that's where we think the money is, that's where we think the great fan experience is, and that's what we're working on.